Hello, beautiful. I am so freaking excited to welcome Tatiana Couto back to the podcast. Tatiana is literally one of the best humans I know. She is a
Oh,
mindset coach, a breathwork facilitator, a podcast host, and she has played such a tremendous role in helping me heal from past traumas and just be the person I am today. So, one, thank you. And two, welcome back to Your Body is Not the Problem podcast.
thank you. Thank you. Oh, it's been a blessing. It's been so cool. We've known each other for a few years now, which is, I was thinking about that the other day and I was like, oh my God, it's so cool how like you can meet people online and connect and they can, because you've supported me in my life too and made an impact in my life. And it's just so cool how like you don't know someone and then one day you follow them on Instagram and they can play just such a big role in your life. But thank you. I'm so excited to be back on the show.
Yeah, it's been just over a year now since the last episode, but I completely agree. So grateful for technology, and it feels like we've known each other for so much longer. But yeah, it's just been a couple of years, but even then, that's still a long time.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's nice to have you in the South Florida region too.
Very happy to be here.
Yeah.
So, to begin, can you start by telling us a bit more about you and your body image journey, please?
Yeah, this is great because I actually had to revisit this a little bit this year. So growing up, I grew up just a little bit chubby. I wasn't your typical like athletic, thin kid. And so self-body image started at a very, very young age. I was very negative on myself. I felt like I wasn't pretty enough, not skinny enough, not good enough, right? And so as I was getting older and older, I would look in the mirror and I would just like nitpick everything about myself, like my stomach, my thighs, and I couldn't find something that I loved, right? It's like once you focus on something, you kind of spiral down. And as I got older in my teens, well, I stopped eating in middle school, right? And so as I got older in my teens, I would go back and forth. I would try all the diets. I would kind of restrictively eat and count my calories, or then I would binge eat because I restricted myself so much. And it was kind of this never ending cycle of finally getting skinny, but like essentially like depleting myself from all of the good foods to then feeling bloated and shaming myself. So it was just like back and forth. And then fast forward, try to make this a quick one. 2016, literally December of 2016, I finally made the decision. I couldn't fit into anything for New Year's. And I have a picture. I sent it to someone on Snapchat and I was like, I can't live this way anymore. Like, I don't think we're meant to be in this horrible relationship with our bodies. Why do I hate my body so much? And I was like, I have to do something once and for all. And that was like my full on commitment. Every year I made the commitment, to lose weight and to feel pretty and skinny. But that was the year I was like, I'm going to do it the right way. I joined a gym challenge, started like getting into weightlifting, like actually learning weightlifting in a proper way. Then I learned about macros, which supported me in educating myself of like the actual nutrients and the actual amount of food that I needed. And I actually started seeing my body change. The scale wasn't budging, but I was feeling different. I was leaner. I felt strong and empowered. And that's when I started working on my mindset with self-love and confidence. And it truly impacted my life so much, which is what allowed me to become a personal trainer. I became a health coach. I've helped so many women find like self-love and acceptance within themselves and their bodies. And when I want to circle back with like where I was at this year, honestly, since COVID, my workout shifted a lot, right? I bet you can relate to that.
Hmm.
And my love for like heavy bodybuilding, weightlifting wasn't there as much. I changed gyms, the gym never opened. So this year I like just felt I could say like I felt like I let my body go. Really, it was just like my muscle. I lost a lot of muscle and the tone that I like built for so long. And what I found some of my thoughts coming back, right? Like, oh, it's so hard to build this muscle back, or like, I can't believe you let yourself go, your glutes are gone. And so I actually had to come back to the basics even this year and be like, hold up, we don't speak to ourselves this way. And this year it was different. It wasn't about the number of the scale because I don't really weigh myself, but it was like how I was feeling and how I was looking and how my clothes were fitting. And so I had to kind of revisit this self, that part of me that has, wounds, right? My whole life, I would be so negative on myself. And I had to kind of re-nurture her again. And now we're in a better phase. That was a few months ago, but sorry, I just spoke so much. But yeah, that's a little bit of my body journey. It started at a really young age and it's come so far, but sometimes it does come back up and it's just kind of revisiting instead of like judging myself for when it does come back.
Yeah, it's definitely a lifelong journey, and I think that a lot of us can relate to trying to shame ourselves into change. And it's like you being mean to yourself has not worked. And so it's like, why not try being nice to yourself and see just how much better it feels and how much more progress you can make. But I've also noticed such a shift from a lot of specifically women moving from weightlifting into more
Yeah.
like Pilates and bar. And I just find it to be a really interesting shift.
Yeah, I love it. I've actually been getting into Pilates. And at first I was like, no, like that's like sissy stuff, like not strong enough. But I'm like, holy shit, this is kicking my booty. Like actually Pilates is really hard. In a good way, right? You're just like using all your muscles. But I love it because I think there's more trends of workout in a way that feels good, but also like work like syncing our bodies with our cycles and realizing we don't have to deadlift all this weight every single week. Like that's not good for us and our hormones. Um, and yeah, I love like I like seeing kind of where it's going. I think it's improving compared to like when we were growing up.
Oh, 100%. And very grateful because I mean, like, the more I know that you've shared that you've been going to these classes, it's like the more that we share that you're allowed to switch, you're
Yeah.
allowed to make the change from heavy weightlifting to Pilates, and it's okay and it doesn't
Yeah.
make you weaker or whatever. It's like, I think that helps make the overall change for everyone.
Yeah, I feel like it's you're becoming more well-rounded, more balanced. Like if you think about it, like, you don't want to eat the same meal every single day, every week for the rest of your life. And that's technically what I was doing working out wise, right? And that's probably because that was the way that helped me heal my relationship with my body and helped me like build, a really good healthy routine. But I had to learn, I had to do a lot of programming this year around that isn't the only way. It could be spin, it could be yoga. For me, I'm like trying Pilates and it's nice. It gives you that variation so you're not bored or get tired of it.
It's a really good way that you just put that of it's like eating the same meal for the rest of your life. That will get repetitive and very boring very fast, and it's not going to give you the same nourishment as it would have before because then your body's just getting the exact same nutrients every single day. So it's a
Yeah.
very interesting way to put it. I like that.
Good, yeah. That just came to me, but it's a really good way to look at it.
Yeah. So, one of the things that you have helped me with so much is connecting to my inner child. And so, today I'd love to chat about our inner child because for so many of us, our body image issues start when we're
Mhm.
5, 6, 10 years old. And so, at that age, we don't know how to process the things that are coming at us. We don't know how to process the comments that are being made about our body, even just the ways that we're feeling about our body.
Yeah.
But first, what does it even mean when someone says inner child?
Yeah. Let's break that down. So, like, just I want you to think about it. Like, we were all children at one point, right? That version of us who was carefree and had so much fun and didn't have a worry in the world. But also that version of us who maybe experienced something, whether it was a parent's divorce or watching your mom, you know, always eat salads and restrict herself, or a part of you that got bullied, whatever it is, you were a child at one point. That version of you, that part of you, those thoughts still exists within you. And so what I like to say is like sometimes, like think about it this way. Maybe it was a partner or a friend or your mom. Did something ever happen? They said something, they did something, and you just like blew it out of proportion. And you were like, why am I crying over spilled milk? Right? Yeah,
Yes,
exactly. And you're
100%.
like, "Okay, am I actually crying about spilled milk?" And if you just take a second, you're like, "No, there's a part of me that is getting triggered, right? An old part of me that maybe has some unhealed wounds, um, that it's like, things just added up and the spilled milk just let you just like unravel." So it's just realizing that as we grow older, all these different versions and parts of ourselves exist within us. But there's this inner child part of us that is crucial because of the years from 0 to 7 and then up to 12, our subconscious mind was fully on. Like, think about it, as babies and as toddlers, we didn't consciously, logically have those moments. So that kind of like carefree, naive, didn't know any better version of ourselves, made meaning of everything because we were children and innocent, still lies within us. And sometimes is kind of taking control of our lives. I remember I heard someone say, um, I think it was Tony Robbins, we were talking about like just different figures, public figures, right? But like think about it this way. I don't believe we're adults. I just think we're all grown up children. And there's that part of us. Like think about you right now. If you're really like a stressed or strict person or very serious person, you can't deny that there's a part of you that wants to go have fun and play, right? Like deep down, like it exists. So that was a little bit long winded, but there's that version of us, that childlike version that still exists within who we are today, who we're going to be in 10 years on our deathbeds. And yeah, so the inner child, the old us.
I think that's a great way of explaining it. What are some other, like, on top of like the spilled milk, what are some other ways that we might know, or I guess demonstrate, if we should be working on our inner child?
Okay, I think stress. I think like everyone should connect to their inner child because if we're not, they're either not feeling heard or seen, and they may be like creating havoc in some subconscious way. Oh, did you see that bubble?
Yeah.
No, so weird. Okay, Zoom. I have no. Oh my god, I put my thumb up.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
sorry.
happened on the FaceTime yesterday too, and I was like, "What is happening?"
I've never seen that. Okay. Oh gosh, the technology now. I think everybody should connect to their inner child though. I think some important like symptoms, I guess you could say, is if you're unhappy, if you're not feeling fulfilled, if you feel like life is boring and mundane every day, if you're constantly serious, if you're feeling anxious or stressed, right? Like what are all of those missing? They're missing joy, they're missing fun, they're missing play, they're missing being carefree. And all of those things that I just said that they're missing come from the inner child. So it's taking a look at what areas of my life don't feel good, what might be working, well, like how do I feel right now? And oh, how have I been connected to this part of me? And if you're listening right now and you're like, I've never heard the inner child, well, then that's just an opportunity for you to connect. And if you have, I just think the inner child comes out sometimes when you least expect it. And the more and more you can build a relationship with it and like normalize it, you can move through difficult situations in life better.
Yeah, one of the exercises that we did together, because if you're listening and you don't know, I've done all of Tatiana's programs. I highly recommend them. But one of the calls that we had, I had been struggling just in general, feeling like I wasn't good enough in every
Mhm.
area of my life. And we connected to younger Leah and realized that from such a young age, I was making so many things that had nothing to do with me,
Mhm.
making them mean everything about me. And
Yeah.
because of that, I wasn't feeling good enough, but none of it had anything to do with me. And that was kind of like the takeaway that I got from that exercise. And it was actually so helpful because now when I'm not feeling good enough, I'm like, it probably has nothing to do with me.
Yeah, right? Like I'm not enough is probably the most deep-rooted belief that everybody has, whether it's not I'm not smart enough, I'm not athletic enough, I'm not smart enough, right? And think about it, most likely does stem from childhood because nothing has meaning other than the meaning that we give it. But as children, we don't realize that. And we probably made meaning when mom didn't give us XYZ or when we weren't invited to that birthday party as a kid. You made meaning, right? Oh, I must not be, good enough or liked enough. Um, so those wounds are still there because newsflash, society's never taught us how to heal those wounds properly at that moment in time. Now we're becoming much more aware and conscious, but we're all adults now, right? So it's like, okay, now we got to go nurture those parts of ourselves that still have those wounds so that it doesn't bring issues into our future lives.
Mhm. We are going to go through an exercise together, but what are some just like general ways that we can connect to our inner child?
Yeah, there's a few. So outside of those exercises that I'll share, try to find a time that you can connect back to your child's self. And something that can help is finding a picture. I have a lot of my clients do this when, if you're really self-critical or negative self-talk, I'm like, grab a picture of the younger version of you, whether you're 8 or 7 or 12, put her on the mirror and like connect to her. And can you remember, what was going on in her life? And remember that everything you're saying to you now you're saying to that little girl, right? So it's maybe finding a picture. maybe you like to play with Barbies, or maybe you mini golf or hopscotch. Like, what were the things you like to do? What were the things that like were so much fun? Go do them. Like, one of my favorite movies is still Shrek. I love it. It just brings out this like funny, I don't know, version of me. I love Disney movies. So that's a way for me to connect to my inner child. It's like doing the things that I enjoyed doing as a kid and that make me not have, like, they kind of take me out of like, you're so present that it takes you out of the time present, meaning like life's worries or adult chores that you have to do. Like, you're so present and having so much fun and joy. So I would say, yeah, like a picture, activities, sports, maybe calling an old friend are just great ways to kind of recircle back to that version of you.
Yeah, I've actually been playing tennis lately, and that is something that I went to tennis camp when I was little,
Wow.
and, it's something that I really enjoyed. Like, we had a tennis court in our backyard. It's interesting though, because when we first started playing tennis, I think it was near the end of last year, maybe, I was finding myself getting so frustrated. And I
Mm,
was like, what the heck? And then I realized, oh my gosh, it's little Leah. I was like, hello,
yeah.
little Leah. What can I do for you today?
Yeah, right? And like, it's just realizing that it's not always our present version of ourselves that are coming out. It's the old parts of us that maybe didn't get what they needed.
Mhm. You semi touched on it a little bit already, but something that you shared in your programs and just like in the work that you share is that we're essentially like sponges until the age of
Mm.
7. Could you just expand on that a bit more, please?
Yeah. So from the ages of 0 to 7, we're subconscious sponges, meaning our conscious mind has not come on. Like, we can't, like, think about, you put things in your mouth, you're running into walls, like you're not consciously being like, if I do this, this is the consequence or this is the benefit. Like,
Right.
it's just, we're mayhem, we're toddlers, we're kids. But we're sponges, meaning we're picking up everything we're experiencing, hearing, observing, being told, and the subconscious mind runs about 95% of our programming to this day. The conscious mind is
Wow.
only 5%. So you think you're consciously there, but 95% of your programming and everything that's like around you is in the subconscious that you're not aware about. So when you're a child from 0 to 7, think about it like you're 100% subconscious. So that means if your parents got divorced, you might think it was, it was from you. If you were told you weren't smart enough or you weren't good at reading, you maybe created a belief that way. Or maybe you saw your mom eating salads, so you created the belief that the only way to be healthy is to eat salads, right? Like, what you were observing and being told and hearing just went straight into that hardwire programming to the subconscious. Then from 7 to 12, little by little, your conscious mind is coming back on. And that's when you can have more reasoning, like, I don't need to eat a salad every day to be healthy, right? You might consciously become aware of that, but deep down, you might still have a root belief that's affecting you. Just like a simple example, like of salad. But yeah, all your beliefs, all your values, all your programming comes from, especially those ages of 0 to 7. So if you have significant emotional events, trauma of any sort, it will affect you. You can heal it, you can improve it, but realize like you just were absorbing everything that you were experiencing as a child.
It's interesting because when you share it with those like age gaps, it kind of makes me think about how like 0 to 3 maybe is when you're like, "No, no, no," and you're just always saying no, and then it gets to why, and
Yeah.
everything is why. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, because our brains are starting to be like, "Actually, let's start thinking more about what we're doing."
Yeah, right. It's funny. And like that's why like if you're with children now, if you're a parent or like, cousins, nieces, whatever, be mindful. I've worked with people that they, couldn't reach the level of success or they couldn't keep the money of success because they had a root belief that came from childhood. And they're like, "Oh my goodness, this has been running my my programming, right? Because of this belief that I made when I was a kid, but I didn't know any better." Yeah. So that's why we have to have grace with ourselves, but realize that's why I say we're not adults. We're really just grown up children just operating in that old programming unless we do this work. So that's why I say everybody, it's beneficial for everybody to take a look and do some inner child work.
Yeah, the other thing that you always say that I also love is that we're not responsible for what happened to us, but we're responsible for healing. So you're
Mhm.
responsible for talking to your inner child and making them feel seen and
Yeah.
not letting those limiting beliefs that happen when you were that age keep showing up and interrupting your current life.
Yeah, or view of the world, right? Like maybe we're talking about money. You think that everybody with money is greedy and they're bad people. Why? Well, mom and dad always told me that. And they would tell me that money doesn't grow on trees. And I'm like, okay, now as a grown up child, an adult, does that belief serve you? Do you want that belief? Right. And so it's in every single context, your body, your health, relationships, money. And so it's really taking a deep dive and looking into that because it's like, does this serve me? No. Am I responsible for what they told me? No. But are you going to do something about it to improve your future? And that's when you can take that responsibility.
Yeah, and heck yeah, you are. We're gonna take that
Yeah.
responsibility together. You're not alone. You can talk to Tatiana and get some help, join her programs. But so, as I guess a little sneak peek into your program, I would love for us to walk through an exercise for connecting to our inner child. And I first want to put out a disclaimer, please don't do this if you are driving.
Yeah.
Wait
Please don't.
until you are home and you're in a safe, quiet place by yourself. But yeah, very excited for this.
Yeah, me too. So we can just go into the one that's like really just connecting to the inner child. And then I can share about like when you're feeling upset, like how to go through it. Does that sound like a
Yeah,
good way
sounds
to move
good.
through this? Okay. So take a moment to just sit, be in a quiet room. Maybe you put your phone on do not disturb. Maybe you're in your closet or where it is. And I want you to close your eyes and like take just a few deep breaths here. This is fun. You're going on a journey. You get to connect to the old version of yourself, right? And so I want you to think about a moment in time where you can just connect to that version of you. Your subconscious mind's going to bring up maybe it's a picture, maybe it's a memory, maybe it's a situation, and just think like, okay, the little version of me, take a look at her. Maybe you're 6, maybe you're 12, maybe you're 3 and you're seeing yourself in the mirror, who knows? As you start to bring this image to mind, and let me just say, like, maybe you can't see it fully clearly, but you feel it, right? It's like a knowing or a feeling or a hearing. Everybody has different strong suits when it comes to this, but just trust it. And so I just want you to float back and just think of a time when you were a kid, and let's think of a good memory or a good time where that child was feeling good, right? And so as you step into that time, you might be in the exact room, in the exact memory or situation, or you may just see just that version of you. Whatever comes up is exactly right for you. As you're welcoming in and kind of walking in, can you see that version of you from like your own current eye? So it can feel a little trippy here, especially if we're doing it podcast style, but just kind of saying, like, see if you can wave to that version of you, right? Or maybe you're just observing. What is that child doing? Is she playing hopscotch? Is she eating a popsicle? Are they watching a movie, right? Can you tap into that feeling of what it felt like to be that age of you? And then like maybe just say hi, like make your presence known. Can you wave? Can you say hello? And as you do that, you may get like this weird acknowledgement of like, yeah, they can kind of like acknowledge that there's another presence there. Cool. And then this is where an opportunity where you can have conversations with your inner child. Maybe you ask her right now, what's your current favorite color? See what pops up into mind and just trust whether you see a color, you hear a color, it's a knowing. Maybe you can ask them, what what makes you the most happiest right now? Can you hear an answer? Can you get an answer? What do you need? What are you missing? Maybe it's love. Maybe it's encouragement, right? And it's slowly building this inner dialogue with your inner child and asking how are they doing? Because at the end of the day, our inner child wants to be heard and seen, and we want to acknowledge that part of us. We just don't want it to control us. So if your inner child right now is feeling any type of negative emotion, can you give that love? Can you give that version of you love and encouraging words, right? And just kind of like take a moment here and just see how does it feel? Can you can you just bring yourself back to that point in time or can you just observe it, right? Maybe there's another part of you, maybe a younger and older part of you that wants to kind of be heard and seen right now. And so maybe you kind of like switch channels like you do on the TV and you go to the next version inner child of you, or maybe it's the same one. Like just trusting here. I'm trying to give you guys like some different flavors of what this could look like and just see how does it feel to be that age? What's going on in life? Are you giggling? Are you with friends? What do you hear? Just observe them. Again, you can make your presence known again. And this is a really good way. The way this is happening is because your eyes are closed. So your subconscious is on fully, and your conscious mind, your ego is like the doubt is kind of shutting down. And so just, I'm going to give you guys like a moment here. What does this version of you, what did they need to hear? Maybe it's encouraging words, maybe it's love, maybe it's saying that they are beautiful just the way they are, that they are good enough. I want you to have an internal dialogue. You can speak it out loud or you can say it in your mind and speak to your inner child right now, just for a few moments. And just feeling into that. If any emotions arise, maybe it's a strong connection. Maybe you just feel what they're going through. There's so much love. Just let it arise. What do they need to hear? Can you be that wise, loving, nurturing, maybe parent figure, older sibling, adult that they may have not had or had properly? What do they need to hear? And as you wrap up that conversation, again, you guys can kind of go through this on your own. This is just a little taste. I want you to give them a hug. So give that inner child part of you a hug. Remember that she is within you, you are within her. You guys are together. You're here for one another. Say any last final words. And as you feel ready, you can slowly kind of come back out, say goodbye, wave, watch that version of you kind of disappear. And you can slowly flutter your eyes open, kind of bringing you back into this moment. How was that? I know you just did it, Leah. And I know you've experienced it before, maybe deeper because obviously we were in coaching sessions. But how was that for you?
I love it. I love it so freaking much. I was repeating to my like young teenage self, your body is not the problem.
Yeah, those
And I kept
reminders.
like, your body is not the problem. Your body is not the problem. Your body is not the problem. I'm gonna yell it at you.
Yeah.
Because that's definitely what she needed to hear. And I also just appreciate that this exercise, like, you can do it if your inner child needs some support for body image. But like you were saying, you can also do it if your inner child needed some different lessons about money or relationships
Hmm.
and things like that. So I just think it's so powerful. And I appreciate you doing that exercise with us. And
Yeah, of
ex-
course.
excited to hear what everyone else thinks of it.
Yeah, and that was just like a snapshot, right? Like obviously, if experiencing the programs, we can go deeper. It can be more healing. And what I would just say for context is if you do this again, and maybe, or maybe you're doing this when you're really emotional over like your partner upset you or money or whatever it is, your body, go in. And what I do is I close my eyes, I put my hand on my heart, and I just say, hey, little one, what's going on? Instantly, your unconscious mind's going to bring up that version of you. Maybe it's a memory, maybe it's a situation, or maybe it's just you. And that's when you get to say, hey, I'm here. I'm here to hear you. What's going on? Let that version of you feel heard and seen and felt. And what you're going to notice is like, it may be irrational or whatever it is, or maybe not. Maybe what they're thinking and feeling is valid and true. But can you now be that wise, loving adult to nurture them, to calm them down? And then when you feel the emotion disappear, obviously there's gonna be more work through this, but trying to give you guys as much as I can. Then you can kind of come back up and open your eyes and notice you may not be as charged at the situation because that inner child of you like was taken care of.
I think, like, as an adult, it feels so good when someone just listens. And it's like, maybe that's just what your
Yeah.
younger self needs, right? But yeah, I literally cannot recommend your programs enough and just
Thank
working with you
you.
in general because one, you just make it so easy to open up and like it feels comfortable and safe, which I think is really, really important in this work.
Yeah.
Like we've had lots of calls where I'm just bawling my eyes out and
Yeah.
crying is something that so many of us don't feel comfortable doing. And so I think
Mhm.
that really just says something about you and your character. But
Thank you.
is there anything else you would recommend for someone who is struggling with their body image and wants to connect more with their inner child?
Yeah. So I think an exercise like that is great, right? Like I said, I think a really powerful tool is get a picture of you as a child. Maybe it was when you first started noticing body image. Put that picture on your mirror or carry it with you. I've had clients that carry it with them. So you remember every time you have that negative thought about your body, whatever it is, you're not talking to you, you're talking to her. And would you truly want to say those things to that little girl version of you or boy, right? Who really doesn't know any better, who really is perfectly made just the way they are, right? Like, I think that's the biggest way to build more self love and compassion with yourself is to talk to yourself like you are that little kid. Because we wouldn't talk to children the way we talk to ourselves now, right?
Nope.
Yeah, no. And it's a step further with that is like this mirror work exercise that I did. And I have some of my clients do. I think I've had you maybe do this, but maybe you have the picture, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but like in the mirror after the shower, when you're naked, just stand there. And can you just accept yourself? Can you find 3 things you love about yourself? And this may be hard. The emotions may arise, right? Because you are raw, naked, but this is going to let you start to uncover those unconscious thoughts of what you are thinking without you even knowing about your body. And then you get to be like, whoa, we're judging ourselves, we're putting ourselves down. Does this serve us? No. And that's when you get to do the unprogramming and the rewiring because you're bringing things from the unconscious to the conscious. And so that's when you get to then move into affirmations, right? Like, okay, cool, I'm aware of these thoughts. What's the opposite of these thoughts? Or what's the opposite of these beliefs? Or what do I want to think and feel about myself? Create those affirmations that are going to evoke a loving feeling for yourself and say them in the mirror. Say them when you're naked. And some days may be good, some days may be hard, but it's going to bring the opportunities for you to heal things from your past. Maybe you're standing there and a memory comes up of kids laughing at you in a bikini. Oh, that inner child's going to be there. Close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, talk to her, love her, come back, affirm things. So I would, it's kind of like a blend, right? And there's not a right or wrong to these exercises or inner child. It's kind of like being fluid in the moment. And then, and if you're a total beginner here, just baby steps, right? Like, of course, like you're pretty advanced because you've done a lot of this work with me, but there's no right or wrong. It's just giving yourself space to be heard and felt and taking that responsibility of, but now what? What's the new standard of how I'm going to speak to myself? Because at the end of the day, your body is the biggest blessing we've ever been given. Doesn't matter the shape, the color, anything. It's our temple. It's holding our soul. It literally has the most important role on earth here. Can you love that? Can you be grateful for that instead of beating her up? Because at the end of the day, it's the only body you're ever going to have, and you're not with her forever. And it doesn't do you any service to have such a negative relationship with your body. Yeah.
I love them so much. Um, but yeah, I think for so many of us, if your body image issues started or challenges started, because there's nothing actually wrong with you, right? Your body image issues isn't like an issue with you. Um,
Mhm.
but you've maybe been thinking these thoughts for 20 plus years. And so when you're in front of the mirror and stuff and you're trying to do the affirmations, your negative thoughts have been repetitive for so long that it's not going to be a quick flip of the switch most likely when you start doing the positive ones. And so it's like
Mm.
that's why, like you were saying, for this year for you, you've had to make another shift. And it's like it's gonna always be changing and keep practicing,
Yeah.
but it's worth the practice.
Yeah. And I would even say like what I did this year and what I've done in the past is I wrote my affirmations on sticky notes, put them in front of the mirror. So every time I went to go look at my outfit, there we go. Those are the new affirmations, right? Not those unconscious thoughts. And I used to do this obviously so much more when I was healing my body image, but affirmations are powerful. The words you speak create your reality. And so I think affirmations are the biggest way. And one thing I wanted to note with affirmations is if you don't believe it when you say it, okay, change the wording around it. I am becoming more confident. I am improving how I speak to myself. I am learning to love my body just the way I am, right? Like those little key words can help your subconscious mind continue to absorb these new beliefs about yourself to the point where then you're like, yeah, I am beautiful. I am confident. My body isn't the problem. She's freaking amazing the way she is, and I don't have to change her, right? And it's just like a little bridge to get that full belief like reprogrammed in you.
Mhm. Thank you so, so, so much for teaching us all about inner child and walking us through that exercise. And I just know that it's going to be so valuable and so helpful. But since you've already been on the podcast and I've already asked you the two questions that I ask all of my guests, I created two new questions.
Ooh,
So,
okay, cool.
number one is, what's been the best thing you've learned as an adult in your body image journey that has been really impactful for you?
I know what it is. Okay, so I forget the name of the scientist, but he proves the power of our words, right? Through water or like through
Mm,
snowflakes, right? And I'm like I have an old engineering brain, so I'm kind of like prove it. And I remember seeing that, or even a plant. The experiment happened with plants to our water, right? So you have one cup of water, one plant being spoken loving words to them, and the other plant, like same room, same plant, same cup of water, but negative words. And in a few weeks, you see the difference. One plant is thriving, one is dead. One cup of water, if you look at on a molecular level, has like beautiful snowflakes, where the other one, it's just like, "Bleh." And like that, seeing that science experiment made me realize the power of our words on our body, because you guys, our bodies are made up of like what, 70 to 80% of water. The experiment was made with water, right? So if it can affect a cup of water, think about what it's doing to your body, to your energy, to your soul, to your spirit, to your liveliness and happiness, right? So your words have the power to lift you up and make you feel the best version of yourself or not. Like I said, your words don't describe your reality, they create it. And so I think for me, like when I finally like saw that science experiment, I was already in like my self-love body image journey, but it like was like holy cow, like oh my goodness, what have I been saying to myself? And that's why this year when I caught myself, because I've learned just how important that is, it reminded me of changing my words and my thoughts, because look what it's going to do to the vessel that I've been blessed with.
I've definitely heard of that experiment, but I
It's
will.
it's in my program. I linked the video. I forget
Oh,
the
okay, that's why.
scientist. I
It's
can try
like
to find it.
I know it sounds very familiar, but it's just those aren't things that you expect to happen. Like to visually see that actual scientific proof when you're just thinking about water and plants. And then
Yeah.
when you remember, it's like, oh, we have a lot of water in our bodies. That makes a lot of sense then that the same would be transferable to applying it to us as humans.
Yeah.
But yeah, words are very powerful.
Yeah.
Second question, what is one goal you have for your body image right now?
Honestly, my goal, it's more of like an intention. It's like, how can I feel my best from the inside out? So feeling meaning energy, meaning inflammation, not necessarily weight, inflammation, right? Like my gut health. I've had some skin things been popping up. And so it's like, can I love myself even when my skin isn't um as clear as it usually is, and can I love myself from the inside out to heal that and also feel my best, especially because I have a wedding coming up in a year. I don't want to be like I'm shredding for the wedding, right? And to look a
Mhm.
certain way. My intention for next year is like, no, how can I feel my best? Because at the end of the day, when we feel our best, we're going to radiate from the inside out, and that's my main goal and intention for the next year. My body.
I I love that. I'm very excited for you to get married
I
next
know.
year. I find it interesting though because I think a lot of people don't talk about how much pressure there is to look a certain way on your wedding day, and then they add in the pressure of like you only get photos for that one
Yeah.
day and things like that. And while I don't regret our wedding at all, I wish I could have done it from a place of having a better body image at the time.
Hmm.
And so it's just really nice and refreshing to hear you say those things of how you want to feel on your wedding day, how you want to feel in general. I think that's really powerful and really good for others to hear also.
Yeah, it's a good reminder. I know I'm going wedding dress shopping in like a week and a half, and I'm like, okay, it's not like, yeah, of course you want to look good, but can you just love yourself for how you are and just know that a dress is here to make fit you? I know you've said this so many times, like you're not. I'm not here to fit a dress or clothes, and so that's really how I'm going into it.
I love that. And yeah, oh no, I just lost it. Okay.
Come back, come
Well,
back.
um, it was something about your wedding dress.
You fitting into it versus it fitting you.
No, it was right before that. That's okay. Anyways, is there any last words that you would like to share for the listener?
Yeah, I would say whether you're on a self body healing, loving journey or wanting to connect to your inner child or both, just take it one step at a time. There's no right or wrong. There's no rush to master this because I really don't even know if you truly do master it. I think it's learning how to just find compassion and love and acceptance for yourself and give yourself grace because the pressures and the judgments that's not serving you, right? So it's when you can accept that and you're just learning here. You didn't know what you didn't know. So don't beat yourself up for maybe not knowing these things, but now you know. So just take it one day at a time and know that like a healthy, loving body image is possible for you as long as you believe it and as long as you continue to show up for yourself. It's already yours, it's coming. So have the faith, love yourself because you're already amazing the way you are, and just take it one step at a time.
I love that so much. And I keep saying that, but it's because I do. I love it so much. I also remembered what I was gonna say was that when you feel good, you look good.
Oh, yeah.
When
Yeah.
you quote unquote look good for society, you don't always feel good.
Yeah.
And so focus
Amen
on
to that.
feeling good and then you just automatically look good also.
Yeah, for sure. I've done a lot of that feeling good, like the quality of my foods, which has helped me feel good to then look even
Mhm.
better.
Amazing. Well, again, thank you so much. For those who got a little glimpse into what it's like to work with you, where can they find you and how would you like them to reach out if they would like to work with you?
Yeah, for sure. So you can find me on socials, on TikTok and Instagram. It's Tatiana_Couto. And I do have a podcast called The Radiant Life Podcast and a private Facebook group, free Facebook group that's named the same thing, The Radiant Life. So those are places where I hang out, where I share content. You can go onto my website at tatianacouto.com to just learn more about the coaching programs. And I'm an open book. You can send me a DM, you can send me an email, or on my website, that's where you can apply and we can have a consultation call to see if coaching programs are a good fit for you. And if not, I'll guide you in the right direction. And if so, I'd love to be able to support you on your journey.
Amazing. I think I probably bring you up at least once a month in my
Oh,
episodes.
I love
So
that.
this is the Tatiana that I bring up when I say, "Oh, I did this with Tatiana." This is her. This is she, and she can help you so much if you're looking for diving deeper into your inner work and your inner child and just creating a life you actually love. Like the amount of growth I have done thanks to you and your support and your help, it's insane. So, and it's the gift that keeps giving, right? Because it's like I'm
Mhm.
done your programs
And
and
now
I'm
what?
still reaping the benefits.
But not even that. Look at the people you're impacting. We change the world when we change ourselves, right? So it's like, yeah, you're reaping the benefits, but think about the amount of people you're impacting, not only just from this podcast, but who you interact with, right? Like it really is the gift that keeps on giving. I've been given this gift and now I'm like gifting it to other people. So when we do that in our work and we connect to our true selves, like we get to create our most radiant life, but we get to help other people do it too.
So, you listening, it is time for you to create your most radiant life, and we're here to help you. So, I will link all of the links in the show notes below so you can just scroll down. But thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. I know the listener really appreciates it. And we would love to hear what you think of this episode after you listen, after doing the exercise. So feel free to tag us on Instagram. And until next time, your body is not the problem.
Bye.